Hello, and welcome to back to the show. We are at the beginning of BioShock 2. I'm going to run through a little bit of BioShock 2 before, while talking about the religious philosophies and symbolisms that are found in video games. Yep, I've already skipped past the really disturbing opening sequence. It's probably the most disturbing I've ever seen in any game, but I'm sure other people will correct me. But we'll start by looking behind us. This is a Vita chamber, and we can, find out what it is, but what essentially it is an in-game explanation, or it's an in-game way to bring your character, Delta, back to life. It was made with the technology made here in the city of Rapture. Essentially rebuilds your DNA after you've been killed. And so, and pretty much, I'm not going to say all, but a good chunk of video games have something like this. You have either a restart point, you have, an explanation for why you keep coming back, whether you desynchronize in a computer simulation, whether you have a machine like this that brings you back to life, or you just simply go back to a save point or start again. And the reason that this is a religious concept or idea is it's essentially a life after death. It's either a life after death, or it can be considered a reincarnation. And yeah, you basically can go back and do things presumably better this time. And in many ways, that is, a key component of video games. It's a key component of religious belief. That there's life after death, whether it's you're going to be reborn again in this world, or whether you're going to move on to another. And it's, just a very important religious concept. So, let's move on. I picked BioShock 2 because there are a few games that actually quite brilliantly mix religious belief with atheism, essentially. So that whichever the player is, whether they believe in, whether they have a religious belief, I should say, or whether they have no religious belief, they can feel comfortable and happy in the game. They can enjoy playing it, enjoy doing it. With BioShock, the first one especially, but the second one as well, you're surrounded by people who don't believe in much of anything. Second one, they become more of a cult, but in the first one, it's all about the science, and they prohibit religious belief, essentially, in it. But strangely enough, they have things that I'm gonna try to break through this. Okay, there we go. They have named things in the game after religious symbolism. In this case, Judeo-Christian religious symbolism is what is named after it. So, there's our glimpse of one of the main villains in the game, the Big Sister. But we're going to move on to show some of this Judeo-Christian symbolism a little bit. And I'm just rushing through. I'm not grabbing everything or doing all the stuff. So let's see here. Somebody's going to get shot there. So there might be a little blood here. I'm going to whack this guy. Whoop. Yep. Sorry about that. For those of you I know who are sensitive to that. So this is an Eve hypo. Now, there are two things that were discovered in Rapture. Technology to splice up your genes, essentially allows you to throw fireballs, do things like that. Eve is the energy behind it, and Adam is what alters your DNA. So, once you run out of Eve, you can no longer use your Adam, like that one, and that's a very obvious Judeo-Christian reference in the game to Adam and Eve, of course. The first man, the first woman. And I think it's interesting that Eve supports Adam in this. It's a very, very symbolic thing in it, because Eve was created as the Bible says, literally a helpmate to Adam. And, you know, separate but equal.
Father.
And here's another interesting aspect. Pretty much all the BioShock games is about fathers and children. Mostly daughters, but all children. So, I'm going to take a plasmid here. And it... so, we're going to watch the effects of it, which is... when you change your DNA, especially the first time, you're not ready for it, it really causes you some grievance and pain. Doesn't seem like fun. But...
Daddy was sleeping for such a long time, and Eleanor has missed you. Find her and you'll be all better.
And of course, the typical quest in this game is essentially a search for meaning, a search for happiness, which is what religion is pretty much all about. Searching for happiness, trying to be happy. Now, I'm going to throw this in, but another game that seems to have the same balance of being appealing to all people is the Assassin's Creed games, which have pretty much everything you do in Assassin's Creed, all the names for what you do, such as Leap of Faith, which I went into in another video.
At last, a signal.
Has religious significance.
Bringing this dead city to life. Listen.
So,
my name, it is Tannenbaum.
Doesn't look
I
good.
know who you are.
But yeah,
and
religious
I am in much need of your
significance
help. Please,
in whatever,
find me in the Atlantic
a lot of the stuff
Express
that you do.
train station.
Sorry, Tannenbaum was a little distracting. So, but the religious symbolism is there. They name things for religious things. So, let me get back on track because, yeah, I got a little distracted by the actual playing the game, which is the biggest danger of doing these videos, is that you get so distracted by video games. So, in Rapture, it was interesting that they pretty much came down here to worship science. You know, they believe in science. Science is everything type of attitude. And you can see it in, well, science is everything type attitude, and yet the names for their scientific achievements were references to religious things, such as Adam and Eve, and so on. Now, it's an interesting thing. G.K. Chesterton, in one of his Father Brown novels, points out that belief in God is a major part of human beings' psyche, of how we think and how we act. And so when we remove that belief, we try to fill the void with other things, and there are times when things like science just doesn't work enough to fill the void, and we seek out other things. In the first BioShock, it was subtly through, you know, the names and so on, is indicating a desire to, you know, to find something more than what they already had. In this game, we start to see the consequences of this. This takes place 10 years after the original, and we're dealing essentially with a cult that's been built up mainly because people did not have that religious belief, that ability to believe in anything, and that left them prey to, you know, the machinations of Sophia Lamb, who, let's see, Lamb is watching, right there, who basically organizes everyone into a cult or a cult-like organization. And designed to basically create the perfect human being. So it's like all cults, it's a corruption of any and all sorts of religious beliefs. So, anyway, that's just a quick look at some of the religious symbolism and philosophies that you can find in video games. And if you pay attention in the next video game you play and look around for it, I bet you'd be surprised in games that you would think would be completely atheist-based or not have any sort of religious reference in it. I bet you could find some really good religious references. Yeah, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. I can't talk. If you like this video, and yeah, drop me a note. Let me know what you'd like to see, what you'd like to see me do, any sort of philosophies you'd like to hear explained, that sort of thing. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.